Hello and welcome to a Source Gaming discussion. I am your host Nantendrex, and joining me today is Corlin Dram.
Everyone's eighth favorite Source Gaming member.
And Triss.
Hello.
And I brought these two here today to talk about this new leaky leak that has happened in the Smash Brothers community. Now, we don't tend to really talk about leaks and rumours very much, unless we're either deconfirming them or we think they could potentially be true or have some truth to them. So we'll let you know, we'll let you guys find out which one of them it's going to be for this one. But just to add some context what this leak is that's taken over, there are supposedly 2 Mii Fighter costumes that have been leaked, which don't sound particularly exciting on paper, but the Mii Fighter costumes are of Mallow from Super Mario RPG and the... alright, Colin, what's it called?
The Cacodemon.
The Cacodemon from Doom. It's the very iconic floating head demon that appears in a lot of the promotional material. So those two have appeared as Mii costumes, which people might point out this is the first Doom piece of content in Smash.
Yes.
And the Genome Mii costume from before was also missing. But now we got a Mallow costume, which seems weird. So there's like a lot of the community has gone up about what this could mean for the future of the fighter pass and everything. But first, I want to talk about this leak because the Smash community's not like a stranger to leaks, and we've had some pretty good leaks, quote-unquote leaks, that have turned out to be fake. There's the infamous Rayman one, and then there was the Palutena one in Smash 3DS, and I remember even with footage, because there is footage of this leak, there's 2 videos and 1 screenshot, and there was that leak from a while back that got proved false that had Springman and Decidueye in it, and someone had made a video of it, but had made the models and all that themselves. So anyone can make a fake leak. And
Yes.
we've seen some pretty good ones, which means that even stuff like this we have to take with a grain of salt and think about whether we truly think they are real. But we've had all day to sort of think about them and look it over, and more evidence has been coming out both for and against. And so we're now going to just give our thoughts and talk about why, based off of the evidence, whether we think it's real or not. So, Colin, what are your thoughts on this as, like, the Doom guy? Do you think this is actually a thing, this Mii Fighter costume?
Well, the way we're going to be splitting up this conversation is we're going to start talking about the logistics of whether or not this is real, and then the implications of it being real or not. So I don't want to immediately jump into the implications so quickly and right away. However, this really is probably it's strange. This one's really strange compared to other previous leaks, because so the story goes right now. The common myth behind this leak is that it's some guy at Nintendo's offices, and he's testing whether or not to see if these models work well. Because even for things like Mii costumes, you have to test. You have to make sure animations work, if the clipping's right, if they're not too high poly, so the frame rate doesn't tank and all. There's a lot of variables. That's why it's being tested. However, like it seems like it's we're like watching like a replay, because of course it's the game in action. It's not just even though there is the one picture of them taunting, it is, all 3 of these characters, the 2 Mii fighters and Ken.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of seemingly out of nowhere, and there's no information on whether or not these characters are tied to any specific fighter's pass. We don't know, like, obviously the implication being that if this is like, because there's a lot of people writing on Doom Guy being, also I'm saying Doom Guy, not Doom Slayer. There's a lot of people writing on Doom Guy being Fighter Pack 5, so it would make sense for Cacodemon to be with him. However, a lot of people really want Geno, And it would be sort of odd if Malo is in the same pack as Doom Guy. Unless that's deconfirming Gino.
Well, I don't necessarily think these have to be in the same pack, because we don't know exactly how far back they.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't like that. We just don't know. We don't know if these are from any specific pack, if they're from separate packs and they're just testing the models at the same time, or why not they're doing them separately. Like it's there's a lot of variables here.
But, like, in terms of, I guess, just whether or not these Miis are real, not thinking about where the packs come from or anything like that, like, do these feel like mods? Because I think the general consensus is this is the game running. Like, the footage is from the game. So it's a question of, has the game been modded to have these Mii Fighter costumes in it? And the evidence has been kind of going back and forth with, a Malo Mii costume being in Smash for Wii U, but then people saying that it doesn't look the same as the one in this one. People thinking that the Doom one, which I'll never get the name of, is from Quake, I think. One of the Quake games.
Right now the big thing is that a lot of people are comparing the Cacodemon Mii costume hat to the Cacodemon hat from Quake Champions. However, I'll post a picture of it in Stream Channel here. It's not the same. It is not the same.
It's different.
Yeah,
because that one's like definitely it's modeled to actually look like a hat. Like it has buttons. And the color scheming is different, and even like the placement of the horns is different. Granted, Quake Champions is meant to be like a AAA, highly polished, highly technical, like cutting-edge PC game, and it's kind of expected that Smash models are going to be low poly because, you gotta have that game running at 60 FPS. But the idea that hat is just a modified version of the Quake Champions hat is, like, not likely.
Right,
it's the same idea, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Right, so the Cacodemon one might be an original model,
yes,
then potentially made by, which also means that if this is fake, someone had to make the 3D models for this.
Yeah.
And originally, the big thing that sort of pushed it to be real, or at least one of the things, was that Mii Fighter costumes, actually being able to mod them in Smash Ultimate is really difficult, and that the modding community hasn't really figured that out yet, and that's when we haven't really had any Mii Fighter mods, because we've had model swaps. There's one of, like, Dry Bowser being swapped with Bowser, and...
Yeah, for actual characters.
For actual characters, but not for Mii Fighter costumes. However, very recently, as of recording, people have come out to say, actually, for Mii Fighter hats, it's not too difficult to put models in, and showed an example of someone modding in a model, basically a cube. And so now some people have gone back on it, saying, oh, well, it's just misinformation that the modding community is having trouble with it. But then other people are still coming out and saying that, no, it is. It's still difficult. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's not very common.
It's a situation where it's currently in the back and forth stages, where you have the modding communities even arguing over this, because essentially, from what I understand, is that it seems like there is some sort of there's some sort of arbitrary file size limit for a lot of items and costumes and stuff in Smash Ultimate. And there is and it seems like that's where the initial idea of problems with getting outfits and hats and all that onto Mii characters is coming from, because you have to make something that is so specifically created to not look terrible, while also using as few polygons and data as possible, which requires a lot of like really smart kind of programming and cutting corners. Which is why, I mean, that's so Duster Buster, Sir Duster Buster is the one who's been posting that video of modding the cube into Smash as like a Mii hat. But of course people are saying, well, a cube is, even though it can prove that it's possible to mod the Mii costumes, which debunks what people were saying where it's not possible. At the same time, a cube itself it's a cube, so it's very simple. So it really comes down to, as you said, it's certainly hard, but it's not impossible. The question is, who is the mad lad that went through the trouble of actually like sculpting? I mean, as we said, the Malo one it's very possible that has taken some inspiration from previous mods for games like Smash 4, but that Cacodemon one, that's the real like,
Yeah.
That's a lot of effort. That's a lot of effort for someone to fake it. Not that people haven't put tons of effort into something to fake something before, but oh man,
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah.
It
Tris,
really,
what are your thoughts? Yeah.
I was gonna say, it really depends, honestly, because what makes it feel really weird to me is that it's just two hats. If even just one of them was a full-on costume, I'd be more inclined to really be leaning towards real. But I've been like in this mix of like, it could be, it couldn't be, but leaning more towards fake, because there's just something about it to me it just feels really weird that it's not just it's two hats of some implying some of the most highly requested things.
Yeah,
it feels too good to be true kind of thing, and just hats feels off because of that. Like, it has this weird air of like there's something really off about it. I don't know how to explain it better than that. Like, it's just awkward, because when you also go to look at these, I mean, for example, you mentioned there was the Smash 4 mod of the Mallow hat that was made, or Smash Wii U, sorry, mod of the Mallow hat that was made, and people were trying to compare those. I realized something interestingly enough is that also utilizes the red Toad costume.
Yep.
Just interestingly enough. I think that's just to kind of reference the character there. But it's just one of those weird things where, like, especially for the Mallow one, you find a way that they definitely could have done this, and we're seeing from the modding scene, it's actually not as hard as initially discussed for a solid, like, 12 hours. It's actually not as hard as people thought it was to do it, and they're working on trying to prove that. But it's when you look over at the Demon from Doom that it starts to get weirder, because that's rather intricately made. Yeah, and I'm not saying really it's impossible to make that. It's just, it's weird that I'm gonna be honest, that has the level of detail like you would see from an official Mii costume.
Yeah.
Like, looking at the other kind of Mii costumes that also, like, put their head in it, it has that same kind of approach to it. Yeah.
I mean, as I also said before, I feel like, I mean, obviously, if you're gonna film a video with, I think this is a good, I guess, segue to get into the implications of both of these things existing. Namely because, Gino has been a fan favorite for years, for several games now.
Mm-hmm.
And Doom Guy seems to be the fan favorite for Ultimate DLC, at the very least.
Yeah, he's been one that a lot of people have been pushing for, myself included, since, like, the beginning of last year. I think it was the success of Doom 2016, Doom as a series, Bethesda's comments on, meeting and working closely with Nintendo and all this. And this happens always with a series that's big around that time. Suddenly everyone want it in. But, like, same thing happened with Bayonetta in the last game, and she eventually got in. So, although Nintendo did have a more direct hand in there, admittedly.
Yeah.
And it's a Japanese series as opposed to Doom, which is a Western one, which is always a bit different.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it makes sense why people would choose this one to be a fake. But also, like, I think Doom Guy also has, like, a lot of qualities for him that would work. I think it's mainly the age rating thing is the big thing that a lot of people always bring up against Doom Guy, but it's not like Smash hasn't worked with. I mean, I don't think it matters personally. But I'm just bringing it as an excuse that people always have for it.
If you're there's a good chance that if you're watching this video, you watched my RTC, and the one that everyone has seen and everyone loves to shit on in the comments. Obviously, I think a lot has changed since that initial video. There's definitely less restrictions on a character who's supposed to be DLC and Joker. So Joker with his real magic gun there. But yeah, I mean, on one hand, it's funny because when I first woke up and I saw this, and I saw the Cacodemon the Mii costume, like one of my initial first thoughts was, well, that's like the easiest way of getting Doom representation in Smash without having to worry about that issue at all, is just to resort to using one of the demons. Cacodemon being, I think, the fan favorite of the original Dooms, along with the Cyber Demon. It seems like nowadays, if we're talking new Doom, everyone loves the Revenant. Because, who doesn't love the Revenant? Which then, of course, leads, the fan in me to go, like, use a better demon. Or, at that point, why not just do a Mii Gunner Doom Marine? Not even just strictly Doom guy, but like Crash or Phobos or something. But at the same time, it's also like, yeah, if they're doing a, it would be weird if the only Doom content coming to Smash is a Cacodemon. I don't know. That's as I said before, that's the thing that really puzzles me, is that it's both Mallow and a Cacodemon, which would, obviously the idea is that to implicate, like, oh, maybe the characters that are known for accompanying these characters, Geno and Doomguy, are coming. But if they're from separate fighter packs, but the idea is, like, why would both of these Miis be tested at the same exact time if they're supposed to be in different fighter packs? And it also doesn't mean that, like, there can't be other Mii costumes from these games in fighter passes, because the last one had, 2 Mega Man?
Yeah, had Proto Man and Zero.
Yeah, exactly.
The last one.
So it's and then at that point, like, if it is real, like, why not both Doom Mii costumes, or which, of course, I feel like a lot of people listening to this might think that I'm reaching, but I think these are all plausible questions. I'm not trying to totally debunk this, but these are the questions that pop into your head when you see this.
I mean, my question really comes down to why Ken as the other character there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, because it very much seems like a callback to the Ken leak from before, and that got me very questioning it, because it feels like whoever's doing this, leaking it intentionally, clearly chose Ken to do it for this specific reason, and even did his taunt that was in the original leak and all that, and it feels very much like it's being inspired by that, which I'm not sure if someone who was risking their job to take this photo and put it online would do just for this specific moment. Like, it depends on how they were playtesting it. Like, if they were just playtesting the hats, why would they even need Ken in the thing, right? Yeah. So there's some weird stuff around that I feel like their intention to do this is kind of made it less believable, in my opinion.
There's also like a few other details people have brought up, like, oh, you can see like a reflection of an office in the background, which I like. If you know anyone who works in an office, unless they work for like a government agency, like, they'll probably just let you come in with a tiny TV and play your Smash mod for like 2 minutes. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that's always been sort of the bizarre kind of side of these leaks. Yeah, I mean, with the Ken leak, people have been bringing up the Ken leak again because of this, because there's a good chance this is like a very obvious reference to the Ken leak. But I think a lot of people forget that the thing that made the Ken leak so prudent, if that's the right word for it, is the fact that, like, it had debug information on the screen that's very hard to fake.
Yeah.
Or at least, like, not to say that it's impossible, but it's something that, like, again, someone would have to take way too much time figuring out what each of those statistics on the screen was saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They'd
Because
have to
then
know what
anyone
it
with
would
a
be
keen
look
eye
like
would
and
just
then
go,
figure
"Oh
it
yeah,
out."
that's bogus."
Well, yeah, and it's interesting because this doesn't have the debug menu on it, but there is one feature it does have, which is the time. The timer in the videos isn't moving at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's constantly remaining at 2:30. Mm-hmm. And that's interesting because, as far as I'm aware, I don't think there are any mods that can freeze the time. It's certainly not something you can do in the game itself.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, unless it's like a post-recording effect somehow, like this is a fake footage, and then for some reason they've decided to have a pause timer. But at that point, if you're going to edit the footage, why don't you try and fake a debug thing to make it look almost more realistic, or that same line that was down at the bottom of it? Like, there are certain things, why do the timer and not them? That makes me wonder whether or not it still is real, like whether or not that's what more people should be paying attention to, proving whether you can do that as opposed to proving whether you can do the Mii costumes for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's been people saying, like, oh, well, you know, the special Nintendo build will be able to freeze the timer, but at that point, wouldn't you just use, like, doesn't Smash have, like, an infinite timer?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
It has an infinite timer mode,
like any other video game, or, like, wouldn't you use one that's just, like, the timer's, like, 30 minutes or something?
Mm-hmm, yeah. Yeah, no, it seems like an oddly specific detail for a faker to do.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, but I guess my opinion on all of this is that I originally was very much on Team Real, and I still think it is real, but I can totally see why it's going fake. I mean, people are claiming it's fake at the moment, saying they think they found who the faker is, but they haven't given any proof that this is actually a thing. It's just one guy, I think, saying it, but everyone's suddenly believing it for some reason. And then I think because there are other things. There's that Mii Fighter costume, quote unquote, text leak from Papagenos that seems pretty on point. Like, it got Goemon and Rocket Grunts in the Mega Man ones before they got revealed, and it had Mallow on it. But of course, this could also be reactionary to that.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a proof in of itself, but it does seem to hint that there is at least the Mallow one coming. And yeah, like you brought up, Colin, there's no reason why we can't have the Demon and Doom guy as a Mii costume separately. And the same for Geno and Mallow. Like, people were wondering why the Geno Mii costume was delayed. And it could be very well that they wanted it timed with the Mallow Mii costume, so both would go out at the same time. But
I'm sort of... Oh, sorry.
I think on the flip side of that, I can't imagine the Mallow costume, especially because it's just a hat, would have taken that long, so they could have done it with all the other Square-Enix ones. Mm-hmm. And Geno being such a fan request, I still think, regardless of whether this leak is real, he's probably going to happen with a Mallow Mii costume anyway. So we could end up in a situation like the Palutena leak on 3DS, where everyone believed it was real because no one could disprove it. Palutena got announced, and then we find out post everything that it was fake the whole time. So it could end up not mattering. But I'm like, I'm going to say 60-40, 60 on it being real, 40 on it being fake overall.
That's fair.
Because there are definite issues with it, but also things that haven't been proven yet as being fake. You on, Tris?
The other issue there also comes down to, if it is fake, that also relies on the people who made it to come forward about it, kind of like what you mentioned with the Palutena one, because it very well could end up happening that it just so happens that they modded or faked something that ends up happening at some point. Colin, you mentioned earlier about why specifically these two, and I know one of the big debates people are having is, does this actually mean there's these series that are going to be represented as fighters, or does this deconfirm them and they're coming with when Terry Bogard releases? But
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
I think it's a matter of if they are testing it, they might just be testing like future content. I mean, like we know they work ahead on things.
No,
Like
absolutely.
we know they're probably already working on Fighter. They're probably nearing completion on Fighter. I don't know, 5 for the pack, and maybe working on the first one. They're probably doing the me stuff as they go. I don't know why they would have these, but it's one of those things where we can see Terry Bogard. We can see him release. We can have the whole set of me fighters and costumes and everything with him, and these not being in there. If we haven't heard on it, if these are real or fake before then, them not being there doesn't actually prove anything. Is the tricky part about it.
That's what I was kind of saying with the whole. It's all about the implications. Someone put that image of Dennis from Always Sunny in Philadelphia doing that implications face, because like I mean, of course it's hard to tell the motives of the original leaker, but one would expect that is the idea. As I don't want to repeat myself, but the idea is that these lead to larger characters coming as playable fighters, especially ones that people have been really, really wanting. Because if they were just me costumes, unless this person only has access to these 2 me costumes in whatever build they're using, you know what I mean? Like, it's... like, why not then... Like, because a much bigger leak would be showing a Geno me costume and a Doomslayer me costume, and people going like, you know, holy shit, you know, deconfirmation. That's really the problem here. As far as I feel about whether this is real or not, I mean, I feel like we're going to disappoint a lot of people by not outright saying if it's real or if it's fake. Because, you know, everything has to be a black and white answer. You can't just, you know... the world doesn't have anything other than yes or no, apparently. But I am feeling this might be a case of Occam's razor, where the simplest answer might be that this is real, if only because... which, I mean, I feel like is how most, like... leak speculation goes. It's always people going like, yeah, but this would be like super hard to fake, so the simplest answer is that it just might be real anyway. But again, like we saw with Palutena, people are dedicated. People are really fucking dedicated. But I it kills me to say, because I really don't want to give a definite answer, but I do feel like this is... If it wasn't for the Cacodemon model, I would be leaning towards fake. But because because there is no source for that Cacodemon model, like it's not the Quake Champions hat. There's no like Xbox Live avatar that this would, like, costume that this could have been taken from. This looks like a totally new, and as you said, almost could be official model.
Right.
I am leaning towards this possibly being real, but all of my questions that I have still stand. So whereas Nan is like 60-40, I'm more like 51-49. like it could go either way, but there's just 1% of me that's going, like, maybe.
Well, the current... there's actually, like... This is all obviously developing as we're talking. The current theory is that they're apparently coming from French people, in French modders.
Oh, no, it's fake.
Yeah, supposedly Discord DMs... Obviously, I can't read fluid French. Apparently, Discord DMs are... They have 2 modders laughing about it and, like, tagging Sabby and stuff in it. Yeah. I have no idea, though, whether or not that's true, because it also appeared on 4chan, and Discord DMs can also be pretty much leaked. Not leaked, faked.
Faked, yeah.
So, who the fuck knows?
Yeah, really. It's...
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with it, like, in real time, too, because You get all
It
that
is.
conflicting info, and all it takes is, one person in the modding community say, I think it's real, or I think it's fake, and then everyone swings in that direction.
Yeah, and I mean that's really is what's happening here. Like everyone was pretty damn convinced it was real, and then some people started saying that I can't remember what was the first one. Oh yeah, first it was like the percentages. Someone was like, "Oh, Ken doesn't have this percentage," and everyone was like, "Oh shit, it's real." And then someone came out and said, "No, I've replicated it. You can do this," and then everyone jumped back to it being possibly fake, and then it was now it's the me costume things, and I'm still waiting for someone to prove that the timer can be
Can be stopped.
like faked. Yeah, it can be stopped like that through a mod, because that hasn't been proved yet by anyone, and people are just assuming that it might be a simple thing. But is it a simple thing? And like, because I mean, people have proved that me hats can be done into it, but they haven't proved that whole me costumes can be done into it either, which isn't so relevant for this.
right.
But it also doesn't mean that that's not wrong. And I mean, there's so much going on from either side that
it's funny because like
pendulum.
right now, it's funny because right now the modders are like scrambling to prove it's fake, and I'm not saying that with like a negative tone, like, oh yeah, they're totally like, like, oh, they're at a loss, they're like, no, but it's one of those things where yeah, I don't know, like it's people are now trying to be like, oh yeah, let's try to see if we can replicate this, to see if it can be done, because it's seemingly like, because now the story is that if this is fake, some guy or a group of mad lads came together to do something that currently no one else has done in the Smash Ultimate modding team, and people are only just now getting around to trying it.
yeah.
Well, what a way to show off, I guess. But
Yeah.
Right, yeah. Well, Tris, do you have any sort of thoughts on this? Because I want to start wrapping this up. Colin and I gave our percentages of truth to fake. What are you thinking of?
I think I have to be pretty much about the same percentage-wise as Colin, because like I'm so 50-50, but it's specifically the Doom Demon that has me leaning ever so slightly more towards it could be real. But like, something about the Mallow one just seems off to me, and not like in a bad way, but just like in this way of like, I think it's been proven that one could definitively have a different source, could be done even if it's modified. But like, and it's not even a matter of if I want it to be real or not. I'm in that like weird zone where like, it would be neat if it was, if everything people think it implies comes along with it. If not, then I mean, it's just two me costumes, whoop-de-doo, that's neat. But it as Colin kept saying, it has to do with the implications.
Yeah. Dennis Reynolds' face.
This could really just be arguing the semantics behind real or not over two arguably meaningless.
I will say though, if this is fake, this is like the best way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
this really is the best way to do it, and like honestly, bravo. Because is it safe? Oh man, I don't know if I want to drop a hot reference to this, but this has to be like more effort than like the Grinch leak.
Because this is actually something in game.
Because it's like an actual like rendered 3D model. See, that's the thing that's so like weird about this, is that there's a good chance that if they're showing this off now, it's probably not part of Terry's pack, because Terry's pack should be releasing sooner than later. And the thing about that is that if they are a part of Terry's pack, wouldn't that mean that Doomguy and Gino are deconfirmed if they're just in, like, if Mallow and a Cacodemon are just together paired with a character that's not even remotely close to any of their franchises? Or if these are real, that means we wouldn't know, not only after the reveal of Terry and his info dump video, but then we're gonna have to wait for Fighter Pack 5's reveal, and then wait another month or so for when they release the info dump video for that character with all the me costumes coming with it. Like, that's the thing that makes this thing the biggest mystery of them all, is that there's probably going to be an extremely prolonged period of time before we even know And the sooner we know might change a lot of what we expect this leak actually means. What a conundrum. Do I fall for this leak, or do I stick to my Doom Guy not being a downloadable character guns? Oh, what is it?
This Doom Guy ride for you will never end, Colin.
It really won't. It really fucking won't.
So as if this journey would never end, as I was just about to finish audio editing on this, it turns out that the Mallow model that's people have been showing for Smash for Wii U is a brand new model that was uploaded today. Meaning that the Mallow hat is either not based on that, if it's a fake, or is that indeed that fake, and the person who made it for Smash Ultimate has done it backwards for Smash for Wii U. But that's new information that is kind of tipping the scales ever so slightly towards it being fake. It's definitely knocked about 5% off my prediction. But yeah, I just wanted to throw this in here at the end to let everybody know. Anyway, to the outro. Alright, well, I think that's a good point to end this. So, who knows what the developments are going to be by the time this discussion actually makes it. I'm going to edit it as fast as I can and get it out there for everybody. Collectively, we're just going to have to see what happens. We're still waiting on Terry, and we got that to go through before even the 5th person gets announced. And yeah, who knows if when the 6th will come out, or if it's even started. There's just so much we don't know. But you can stay up to date with everything about Smash by subscribing to us if you haven't already, because we will be on top of all the news as it comes from official channels. And hit that like, and go on Patreon and support us that way so we can keep doing what we're doing. And yeah, come back and return to the source when we have real information. See you guys.